Brilliance Audio.
The Last Sentinel by Simon Gervais. Performed by Jeffrey Kafer. The rumble of the Dassault Falcon 900's wheels hitting the runway jolted Quds Force Major Reza Ashtari awake. Blinking and wincing as he stretched his sore neck, Reza opened the window shade on his left. The sun, which had been shining over Tehran at full wattage when Reza and his team had taken off a little over an hour ago, was now blanketed by low-hanging clouds of varying shades of gray, and a light drizzle darkened the cracked concrete of the runway. While the clouds and the rain had impaired the pilot's visibility during landing, they were nevertheless welcome sights. Only a few days ago, a commercial airliner had been struck by gunfire as it landed here at Baghdad International Airport, injuring one passenger. In response, many carriers had suspended their flight operations. The culprits hadn't been caught, but Reza suspected ISIS fighters were behind the attack. With the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria quickly gaining ground in Iraq, Iran's supreme leader, in consultation with the Iranian president and the Guardian Council, had decided to discreetly send one of their top generals to meet with the Iraqi defense minister to coordinate a military response to ISIS's aggression. Reza's mission was to keep their general safe. Since it was the Iraqis who would be providing the bulk of the security forces, Reza had sent a two-man advance team to Baghdad to link up with the Iraqi National Intelligence Service. Reza had reviewed the details of the security package earlier that morning and had been impressed with what the Iraqis had come up with on such short notice. But would they deliver? That remained to be seen. Rain peppered the wing of the aircraft, and Reza turned his attention to the window. The wind had picked up, and it was driving droplets like buckshot against the fuselage. In the distance, he spotted a string of fire trucks and an ambulance parked next to a hangar, but still no military vehicles in sight. He unbuckled his seatbelt and looked behind him at the 8 commandos he had handpicked for today's mission. He zeroed in on his second-in-command, Captain Armin Sadhu, and motioned the officer to come over. While Reza was wearing a dark business suit to match the general's attire, Sadhu and the rest wore tri-colored desert camouflage uniforms. Sadhu, a tall, beefy man with thick black hair and a neatly trimmed beard that didn't do much to cover the scars on his right cheek and chin, took a seat next to his commanding officer. "Major," Sadhu said, "get the men together for a final brief and a comms check," Reza said, while validating that his own radio was on the right frequency. "That security package the Iraqis put together for the general looks fine on paper, but I don't trust them. I'm not sure how long we'll be in Baghdad, but I want to be ready." "Yes, sir, and for the record, I don't trust them either." Sadhu's tone made it clear he wasn't a fan of the Iraqi military. "Anything else?" "Instruct the men to keep their heads on a swivel, Armin. The threats could come from anywhere, anytime, including from within the Iraqis' ranks." While the fall of Saddam Hussein in 2003 and the rise to power of pro-Iranian Shia factions in Iraq had helped normalize relations between the two countries, many inside Iran hadn't forgiven Iraq for invading their country in September 1980 and for using chemical weapons on the Iranian populace. It didn't matter that the war had ended decades ago. The dynamics between the two countries remained complex. It was the Supreme Leader's hope that if Iran came to the assistance of Iraq in its fight against ISIS, a delicate political equilibrium could emerge and strengthen both countries. Reza stood and squeezed past Sadhu. He moved to the other side of the plane for a better view of what was going on outside. Although Reza didn't spot anything remotely suspicious, there was still no sign of the motorcade he expected for the general.